All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with some chapter 3 notes. We're taking a break from triangles for a bit. I'm sure many of you will be relieved by that, but we are still going to be talking about angles. So we're talking about angles on the Cartesian plane, so that's just our standard XY plane that you all are fairly used to, right? You've got your y-axis going up and down, your x-axis going this way, right? So we're talking about angles drawn on this plane. So when you draw an angle, right? So you have what's called your initial side. And the initial side of your angle will always fall on the positive x-axis. So it's always going to start there. So basically, we're thinking of this as kind of like, almost like a clock, right? So our angles are going to like go around in circles like this, right? So like up to here would be 90 degrees, right? Over here would be 180. Down this far would be 270, 360, right? And technically you can keep going around and around and around, adding 90 degrees every time, right? But, and then we have all of our quadrants, right? So this is quadrant 1, right? They start here and they go counterclockwise. So quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Yes, we use Roman numerals to name them. Okay, so then from there you can draw the other side of your angle. So I'm just going to draw here, right? So actually I'm going to make that not green, yellow, right? So then this yellow part is known as the terminal side. Right, so it's like the terminal or the final side of your angle. So that's going to kind of determine. And then we can have angles going in a positive direction. So if they start here and go up and around, or they can go in a negative direction, meaning they start at the initial side and go down. So we always want to draw an arrow of rotation showing what way our angles are going to go. So like this one, we're starting at my initial side, but we're going this way, indicating that the angle we drew is a positive angle. Right, so again, our initial side always falls on this positive side of our x-axis, right? So on the right side. Our terminal side is drawn somewhere else over here. Positive angles go up, so they go counterclockwise. And negative angles go clockwise. Right, and we will practice that here in just a minute. Right, again, you have your quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so then let's kind of do some examples so we can see more clearly about our positive and negative angles. Right, so I realized that I did not send you all home with protractors. I meant to, but in the chaos of the day, it didn't happen. So try your best. If you have a protractor at home, use it. If you don't, get as close as you can. All right. So let's say that we want to draw let's say a 200-degree angle. Right, so again, we start at 0 here, right? 90, 180, 270, and then back at our starting point becomes 360. Right, so if I wanted to draw a 200-degree angle, first thing you want to do is draw your initial side. So we're going to draw our initial side here in blue. Right, so then if you have a protractor, let me see if I can pull one up here real quick. All right, there we go. So I got a protractor, right? Again, so you want to I'm making it a little bigger just so we can see. All right, line the circle or your hole up with your vertex. Line your initial side up with the bottom of the protractor here, and then start at 0, right? Because this is 0. We're gonna go around. So there's 180. So 200 is gonna be 20 more this way. So we can take our protractor, right? Flip it upside down. All right, and then know that we have to go 20 more degrees this way. So just put a little mark, then move your protractor. Really, you should use the straight edge of your protractor. I am not, and it didn't save my mark. Hold on. All right, so I talked a lot and it didn't record. So we're gonna try this again. All right, so again, I moved this. I just attached what I had here, right? I go from the origin to that point I drew. If you don't have a protractor at home, which I'm assuming a lot of you don't, and that's okay, use what you know about where these quadrant lines are to help draw your angle. So we're going 200 degrees. Start at 0, 90, 180's here, so then 270's down here. So we know that this angle is going to have to be somewhere in here. Obviously, no, 200 is going to be a little closer to the 180 than it is the 270, so just kind of sketch it in that general area. Okay, so then let's go ahead and move on and practice this with a negative angle. So we're going the other direction. All right, so let's do a negative 75-degree angle. So again, 0 is always going to start here. But now, since we're using negative angles, remember, those are going clockwise, right? So we're going this way and around and around, right? So negative 90 degrees is going to be down here. This is going to be negative 180, negative 270, negative 360, and so on. So basically, these two are just swapping places and changing signs, right? But it's still 90 degrees this way because this is still a right angle, right? So we're going 90 this way, 90 more, 90 more, 90 more, and so on. So if we wanted to draw a negative 75-degree angle, right, that means we're going to go down this way 75 degrees, right? So 75 is going to be between 0 and 90, closer to the 90, so we're going roughly right here. So again, you want to draw your initial side first, then draw your terminal side, draw your arrow of rotation, which I forgot to do in the last example. So there's your 75-degree angle, or negative 75-degree angle. So let's do another one. Let's say we have, let me shrink this and draw another. So there's that one. Right, so 0, negative 90, negative 180, negative 270. So let's go with, let's do negative 130. Negative 130, sure. So again, draw your initial side. So then again, we're going to have to go farther than negative 90, not quite to negative 180, and down here. Right, so 130, it's really going to be kind of close to that middle there. Again, get it as close as you can. Draw your arrow of rotation. And again, this one's in quadrant 3. The one we did up here was in quadrant 4. Right, because that's where our terminal side fell. Okay, so like I said, I know a lot of you probably don't have a protractor. Try your best. Make sure you read the directions, right? So like on the assignment that you'll do tomorrow, it wants you to identify what your initial and terminal side is, right? So you can even just do like I, T. Just make sure that you label them all. That way you get practice of knowing which one is which. And then it also asks you to tell me what quadrant your angle is in. So again, quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so the next thing we want to talk about is called coterminal angles. So coterminal angles are basically angles that look the same, right? Their terminal side lies in the same place, but they technically have different angle measures. So again, we've got our initial side. I'm going to label 0. And you guys don't have to label these, but I would in the beginning just so that it helps you remember. I'm going to do my negative ones in a different color. So then you have negative 90, negative 180, negative 270. And then here you can have, right, but here you can also have a positive 360. So coterminal angles, again, mean that they look the same, right? So it could be something like here, but they technically have different measurements. So if we were to go around completely back here, we're at 360. If we keep going, we're getting bigger than 360, right? So let's say I have a say I have this angle here. Let's call it 120. Right? So again, if I go here, I go to 120. But if from here, if I go around another 360, right, I'm basically adding 360 to 120. So again, this is my angle of rotation for this one. But let's say I draw another angle here. But this one, I start here and go around twice to that one. So that means that green angle that I drew is going to be 120 plus another 360, giving me a 480 degree angle, which is completely possible, right? We can have angles larger than that. So again, depending on how many times you go around, right, I could also go a negative direction, right? I could do 120 minus 360 and get an angle that falls right, and get an angle that falls right here. So basically, coterminal angles just mean that you are either going to add 360 to find another one or subtract it. So like in your example problem, it says find all, or in your homework problems, it says find all positive and negative angles between negative 720 and 720 coterminal with whatever. So let me write that down. All right, so let's say, for example, we have, let's say 45 degrees. So if we wanted to find angles that are coterminal with that, so basically the first thing you're going to do is you're going to add 360. Okay, so 45 plus 360 gives me 405. Right, but if we add 360 again, that's going to give me 765. Right, so that's bigger than 720. So that means we don't need that one. So now I'm going to take that 45. I'm going to subtract 360. So that gives me negative 315. I'm going to subtract 360 again just to see what I get. And that time I get negative 675. So at that point, I know if I subtract, again, I'm going to be outside of this range of negative 720 to positive 720. So you add or subtract 360. You should get 3 angles for all of those in your homework problems. So sometimes you might have to add twice, sometimes you might have to subtract twice from your original angle. But that's how you find coterminal angles. You're just adding or subtracting 360 a couple times. All right, so today you just need to take these notes. 11th grade, if you haven't turned in your test, you should have already. So get it in. And tomorrow we will do the assignment that goes with this. Like I said, it's okay if you don't have a protractor. Please email me if you have questions.